Welcome back to the Extracted Podcast. My name is Shannon Boyles, and I am here with the one and only Jared Iwi, fresh off of Comedy Works' new talent night, where he melted faces and burned the stage to the floor last night. Welcome to your basement, Jared.
Thank you so much for being here and coming and always worrying that you're imposing when everybody loves you here. And we just spent some time planning our 50th birthday party, which is coming up in mere days. So it's a lot of last minute stuff. My wife is rolling her eyes, wondering what the hell's wrong with us.
You and I are both last minute quarterbacks.
Yeah, there's something to the astrology. There really is.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
Just very sensitive, doubting, last minute people.
Well, and just like, do you really want to do it? And then you got to pull it out at the last minute, and it's like a Top Gun movie. You turn fly.
Well, I know we got to get to housekeeping, but I'm just going to make a simple declaration. Like, old doubting Jared is dead. There is this incredible line in the movie Incredibles. In the superhero mom, it's not Helen Hunt. It's anyway, incredible actress. Somebody you know, and whoever's listening right now or watching is disappointed that I can't remember their name. But anyway, she says while they're in a tunnel on the evil island to her daughter, she's like, "Doubt is a luxury we can't afford anymore." And I look at the political fuckery and terror that is descending upon us. I can't doubt anymore. You know, last night I went to Comedy Works, and I really didn't have much prepared, but I was like, I'm just going to go out there and just be brutally honest. And I was brutally honest in saying I really didn't want to be funny because I've just been angst-ridden about, our dwindling democracy. And everybody in the room felt that.
Yeah.
And for years people have said, "Jared, just do you." And I'm like, that couldn't be possible. And, right after my mom died, it was like way too soon, but 9 days after she died, after caring for her for years, I headlined a set at Jazz at Jack's when it was very cool on Paris, just above Paris on the Platte, on Platte. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, I'll make this short, but I think it's an inspirational story.
Take as long as
when
you
I
want.
got there, the owner, Sandra, was really nice. She's like, "Are you ready to do this?" I'm like, "Sure." Oh. And the feature acts were two traveling acts that traveled together, a young man and young woman, and they said they were headlining, and I said, "Well, actually, I'm headlining." Sandra said so, and then I thought about conceding, just conceding it to them. They're traveling acts. I'm just some local dude, and then I was like, "No," and I said, "Sandra, they think they're going to headline." She's like, "No, you're headlining.
Good.
Don't lose that." And so I didn't concede it, but that put some pressure on me because these two as feature acts, they each did like 20 minutes or something, were pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting next to my wife, and I'm watching the guy, and I'm like, wow, I better be funny. And all she says is, "Yep." Like, just so simple and casual, but certain in its necessity, but not in like a menacing way, but in it's there, no big deal way. Just do it. And it was an awesome night. Those two acts came back to me and were like, "Holy crap, who are you?" And that happened last night after I just was me. A guy who had, the last time I was at Comedy Works, it's a lot of pressure backstage, a lot of trash talking and stuff, and everybody's trying to make it. I've been around, I don't care, I feel good about myself, but it does get a little bit, it's not comfortable, you know? I mean, when I could be at home enjoying a Norman Rockwellian evening,
with your family,
belittling my children or torturing my wife, I'm like, why am I back here with all these people that are so insecure? And the last time I was there, this guy, right? He went out before I did. And it's a joke that you want someone who's not that good to go out before you so you look better. And as he's going on stage, he turns to me and he said, "I'm going to make your life a living hell." Yeah, I'm like, well, that wasn't necessary. He didn't.
Game on.
But that guy was there last night, and he didn't remember me for that moment. But I got off stage, he was like, "God damn, you killed."
Good.
And it just goes to show that, like, time is limited. Fuckery is afoot.
Yep.
You can't be little doubting boner boy. And, part of that, or maybe much of it, is you get addicted to being that way so that you might extract some feedback. And I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. That went way too long. Should we edit? No, I don't care because I don't care.
I think that part of your gift to the world is when you do show up and just do what you did and like you did last night. And so please, keep doing that and showing up, because that's what helps balance out all the bad crap in the world, is when you can really laugh at it, when someone really has a wonderful way of explaining the state of the world in the moment, which you do. But yeah.
Well, I cut into your housekeeping.
No, listen. And when you do get the video from last night, please attach it to this episode because I think it would be great for people to see what you did. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be in this episode. I don't know when I'm going to get it.
Okay.
So, and also the moth video. You saw Shannon's moth, which was fantastic. If you want my moth, put it in the comments. And I can attach it at some point.
Get like hashtag I want Iwi's moth.
Yeah, please.
So, okay, back to housekeeping. So, we are doing this because why?
This is Extracted Season 2, Jared, Episode 3, as we extract from each other our stories, because they are many. And, whatever life you live, there are stories, and a lot of people don't take the time to tell them. And time, speaking of, is this incessant flow of your life peeling away from you into the distant past. But when you pause to tell those stories, you take control of the moment. Not only this moment right now, but I'm just going to grab in the past and share a little story. And you own it. So that's Extracted is taking that out of you and like, time to look at this power.
And sharing it.
Yeah.
Right. And we also gamify it. So we've got some points. And what's the latest point spread?
Is it 2?
I think we're almost
have
tied.
A point. No, but is it? I think it's 3. I think it's you have 3 points. I have 1.
No, you had another one because
right.
Yeah.
No,
so it's like 3-2.
No, I don't think it's 3-2. I think
we have to.
We're going to go back when I edit this thing, which we really don't edit because if you do, you lose
a point.
The point. This is the no editing podcast. I'm going to go back and I'll put the score here, and I'll do the research. I think it's 3-1. You have 3.
Okay. Well, I will concede and let you have that, knowing that I don't want to argue with my birthday twin as we're gearing up for the days leading into our big 50th birthday.
7/7. Yeah.
Yeah. 7/7/74. We were both born on that day. We went to college together. We've been friends all these years, and we like to tell each other traumatic stories and help kind of do a little therapy podcast action at the same time.
Yeah.
From Jared's Bang Bang Bunker, and you call that because
this time of year is dangerous for doggies. There's bang bangs everywhere, and so they come to the Bang Bang bunker and hide under the Papa Shot.
Hunker down.
And it's funny, Chocho has always been very scared of a lot of things. She's this rescue from Texas that was abandoned, and Bogey has no reason to be scared of anything. He was a puppy that we rescued right before COVID, so we've been here his entire life. We go to the store and he thinks we've died. Now he's suddenly scared of bang bangs. Oh. Like Chocho whispered to him, like, dude, don't be an idiot like the humans who don't, those idiot bipeds. Come hide with me. So he's even more scared than she is. Like, we'll be on a walk, perfect day, bugs leaping around, lots of animal smells, and then a pop will go off. It could be a distant backfire on an ancient car, and they're like, nope.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're sweet dogs.
Yeah. Good
puppies. So I know that usually we get into a year. Each of us interviews the other per episode. And what year or what time of your life do you want to get into?
I wasn't fond of my last episode that I did. And really, I just tried to do too much. That's all. If I have a mistake, it's usually I try to do too much. So I'm just going to break it down into this story that I teased. This incredible story. I am homeless in Portland, Oregon.
Is this 97, 98?
This is 98. I have left Big Dog 96.9 after having sex with the entire staff. This is crazy. I was in debt at the beginning of 98, but I knew the Broncos were going to win the Super Bowl. So I took $1,400 off a credit card.
Okay.
I drove overnight to Vegas, and I won. I won like $8,400 because I bet it on the Broncos winning the Super Bowl because they were underdogs. But then I got really drunk because I was nervous watching the game, and I blew it all in Vegas.
Oh,
so I had to come back with nothing, and I was like, I've just got to leave town. Like I left we were the top dogs in morning radio, but I left because it got so creepy, and that, as you may have heard in that last episode.
Did they know you were leaving, or did you just leave?
No, well, after the one lady outed the other lady about our little menage a trois to sink her sexual harassment case.
And real quick, in case you missed that was Jared season 2, episode 1 story where you had the episode 2. You had the Makeout Club. Okay.
Yeah, and everything was fantastic for me then, but then the wheels came off, and I really couldn't go back to Farmington anymore, and it just, whoa, damn. But I did enjoy some time there. But anyway, so I'm broke. And then I win the money, which will pay all my debt, and then I immediately lose the money because I'm too drunk. And then I have to like beg, borrow, and steal to get back to Colorado. And I get back to my place, and I'm like, fudge, I gotta go somewhere, and that's where I go to Portland. And I told a little bit of this, but anyway, I get to Portland. I'm just an idiot redneck. I had no idea the ways of the city. I thought I could just roll in the town and get a radio job.
What made you choose that market?
Well, this is crazy. I was headed to Boise.
Okay.
But
again, what made you choose that market?
Well, Boise for me, and Boise's is high. I should have gone to Boise.
Boise's always been cool. Idaho, I guess.
There was a classic rock station that I called, and they said, "Well, stop by." And I thought I can charm them enough that I can at least get part time.
Yeah.
And I should have done that, but then I always try to do too much at once, and back to that initial flaw. And I thought, oh, you know what? My sister lives in Corvallis, Oregon, so I'll surprise her by taking my mom to visit her. That I'll have this time, so I'll do that. So I get to Corvallis, and then I'm like, well, I guess I'll just go to Portland then. That's like Boise, isn't it? Yeah. So I skipped Boise altogether and went to Portland, and then I flew my mom back. And I had nothing. I was just in a stinky Mercury Tracer that I bought before college. It had 200-some thousand miles on it. It smelled so bad that one time a friend borrowed it. She was a teacher, and drug-sniffing dogs singled it out. Yeah, and she got pulled out of class. So
wait, was that the maroon colored car that
the maroon car.
You picked me up for summer school?
Yeah, in summer school I picked you up.
Okay.
And so I'm in this stinky car. I'm homeless, and as I said in the other podcast, I'm calling radio stations and apartments from a payphone at a 7-Eleven, and a drug dealer was very kind to me and said, "Dude, what are you doing? Those calls don't take incoming. Those phones don't take incoming calls." So nothing was happening.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I ended up at a place, and that's all been told, but I am wandering around town with radio air checks, trying to talk to someone. No one will talk to me. And I am just taking public transportation everywhere because I don't have money for gas. I can sneak on buses, whatever, I've got nothing. I've started to realize that I've got blood sugar issues because I would just not eat all day, and then it would plummet and I'd be suicidal. I'm like, what's wrong? And then I had all this cheap tuna that I bought that I just eat a can of tuna. It's just crazy.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. So I'm on the bus, and there's this thing that I developed. I developed this personality or this persona, reputation, that I didn't mind talking to people. And a lot of people on public transportation are a little crazy. And if they find someone who listens, they will tell you anything and everything. Yes. And you know about their fungus, you know about their father, you know everything.
That sounds like
and
me.
People wouldn't sit around me because of that. I'd just be on the same bus coming out of the Gateway District every day to go downtown or wherever the stations were. And so I'm hearing all these crazy stories. And people are avoiding me because they're like, that guy. I remember one guy just shook his head at me, like, why? And I'm like, right. I don't know how not to talk to these people.
Oh.
And Portland has a very high number of people that are, I would say, neurodiverse, to be kind, and a lot of big on house population. And so they're all on the bus with me, and these are my people. And that turned out to be a strength because one day a guy is sitting behind me, and he starts talking to me, and I'm like, okay, this is what I do. I talk to him. And he's telling me how he's been abducted by aliens. And I'm like, oh, God, of course. And he's really loud. And everybody at the bus is like, Jesus, would you stop catering to this dude? So he had been sleeping by a lake, in his van, by a lake. And these aliens particleized him and sucked him through the van door.
Okay.
And he'd been gone for, I don't know, light years.
But it was probably not long on
right,
Earth.
And then when he came back, really no time had changed at all. Wow. But he had all this enlightenment. And I'm just getting through the details. But for the first time, this guy, unlike so many other people who burden me with TMI, asked me what I was doing. He asked me about how my day went. I love you. And I said, well, I came out here to get into radio, and so I'm just trying to do that, figure that out. I thought I was pretty good, but maybe I'm not. And he's like, oh, hey, man, I just told my alien story on this radio station.
What?
And he hands me a card for this guy, J.D. Fort, who was the program director for Great Talk 1150 in Vancouver.
Oh.
And I was so excited. I was like, fucking British Columbia?
Canada, you're
yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm totally going.
airwaves.
Yeah. But no, there's Vancouver, Washington, which is...
I know.
Which is not the best Vancouver. I'm sorry, Vancouver, Washington. Vancouver, BC, pretty amazing. I would go there later for a promotion. But, so I call them, and they're like, yeah, we could use some help. I'm like, what?
Great.
Yeah, and so here's something about us landlubbers and landlocked states. Places with a lot of water, they have drawbridges. So I had a noon appointment, and I leave with what I think is plenty of time. And suddenly the road rises up above me, like, it's a horror movie. And I'm like, yeah, there's no way I can get around it. No cell phone, nothing. So I'm late to this thing. And I go in. He's already on the air. And it turns out okay because he's busy on the air. And the owner of the station, this J.J. McKay, of which there are many, comes out. I introduce myself. And she's very honest. She's like, oh, well, you're charming. And she says the thing that I was learning. She goes, you're charming, but you get to a point in bigger markets where that's not enough.
Yeah.
And it's true.
It is.
And that's what I was learning. And so she said, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I've been an on-air guy. She goes, well, can you produce a show? I was like, yeah, I could do. I mean, I know radio really well. I've been doing it that's all I've been doing,
right.
And so I would end up producing her syndicated show, The Affection Connection.
Wow.
She and a stand-up comic did it together, and I was kind of the third chair, like when I produced Cozy here in town, which was a great role, but it was a lot of work. It's paid $6 an hour.
Yeah.
And I also was a weekend producer, and they gave me an hour for a show, which you had heard in the last episode that I just let too many people in, and it kind of got janky. But that show was called The Point of No Return, and it was me, a conspiracy theorist, and a psychic, which could have been great, but the conspiracy theorist was just so nuts we couldn't control him. And by then, I was just cratering. I go back to Colorado. But this guy on the bus and his alien story.
And he gives you the business card for the guy who's running the classic rock station.
Yeah.
And they say, we need help. And
yeah.
In this day and age, that would never happen.
Yeah, Great Talk 1150. And then while I was there, I started working at this other AM station, 1010 AM The Voice. And that's where I started work with Roddy Piper and Playboy Buddy Rose and all these wrestlers because they had a wrestling talk show.
That is fantastic. The fact that you produce a wrestling talk show.
Yeah. That didn't last very long because I also was telemarketing, trying to get out of credit card debt that I may have incurred when I lost my ass in Vegas after winning it. But anyway, I had a telemarketing gig at a place called Royal Mortgage Bank, and the bank was spelled with a C. And when they go with the misspellings, you may not be dealing with top notch. And you'd call these people to try to sell them get him to take a second mortgage. Ooh. So they had lists of people that were in financial trouble.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get a second mortgage, and it was terrible. And if you got somebody to actually do an application, they would give you a scratch ticket. And this guy would come around with a horn and go, and he'd give you a scratch ticket. But you would call homes, and I'd be like, yeah, is JD Hamana there? And they'd be like, oh, hold on, that's my grandpa. And then they would put the phone down. This is back in the day when there was one phone in the house. And you could hear, like, the pain of their life unfold with the noises in the background. Like, hold on, let me screw my leg on, son. Oh, why is the air so thick in this cave we live in, all this stuff? And you're like, oh, my God, please. And they'd come to the phone hoping it was some salvation, and it was me, this telemarketer, trying to get him into this terrible refinance with Royal Mortgage Bank with a C. Man. So, but I was on the radio.
Yeah.
So I didn't care. And I've always said that, like, if you really want to do something, go to the biggest market you can, work at Subway or whatever, but you will hold yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, professionally by just doing that little bit. And if you're working at some crap job you don't want, nothing energizes and fuels you like that to do really good at that other thing you're doing.
That's for sure.
So that's the story, man, the alien.
That is wild about the fact that you mentioned 98 and the Broncos when they went to the Super Bowl, because I was in the process of getting hired at Jones Radio Network, where you also worked. Mm-hmm. And I had to take my first drug test for a job that I ever had to do. And so prior to that, I'm drinking Pectin, trying to, get myself cleaned out. And I go to the place and I say to myself, okay, the Broncos are going to the Super Bowl, and, hopefully this is going to go great too, because I think the lab was in San Diego where the Super Bowl was or whatever. So I go and I get my specimen and I bring it out and I put it on the desk to the nurse, and she was a very nice woman and wasn't paying attention and was talking to me and reached over to grab a pen and knocked over my specimen.
Oh.
And I was like, is there enough left to test? And she was like, oh, yeah. And I left and I ended up getting hired at Jones. And so I guess I passed. But I've always wondered if that lady might have added to my specimen.
That's funny. You had a specimen story in the last episode.
I know, and I'm sorry.
And no, I have a Jones specimen story as well.
Okay, I love it.
No, because when I left Durango, the next place, because I would move back to Durango from Portland.
Right.
You know, I talk about that, how I'm at the Vancouver, Washington station,
On
and I'm waiting.
thin mental ice.
Thin mental ice. I'm waiting for I'm waiting for my team to show up to do the show, and I'm looking at the electrical lines and imagining me being electricity and how fast I could get back to Durango, which I would. Yeah, so I get back on the air there, and it was just a party for a year and a half. It was amazing until I broke my back riding my bike. It's
That's
another story.
right. You broke your back.
Yeah, and so I would I would get a job at Jones Satellite Radio. This is a big satellite network where, like, in smaller markets where they didn't want to pay DJs anymore, they would bring in our programming. We would sound local because we would come on and you couldn't be specific as to where you were. But
Time, temperature, or, any
you
of
can't
that.
do that. But what you could do, and this is
Traffic.
what stations would do, they would pay extra, and you would record localities for that station.
Yeah.
So you would hit a button that would send a signal to the radio station, and my voice would say, KLMN, Eastern Oregon's best rock and roll. Or no, that would be my voice. It would be KLMN, Eastern Oregon's best rock and roll, and you'd wait a beat and then come on. Well, that was the Jonas Brothers, and it sounded like you were local because you had this recorded bit that played, and then you came on live. Anyway, that's what we did at Jones.
Yep.
Is lie to rural people, and so I had a noon appointment for my urine specimen.
Okay.
And I partied all night, and I fell asleep at 4 a.m. And then I woke up at 5:30, and I had to get all the way to Denver. And so I had just drank all night long. I'm not in any shape to be doing anything, let alone driving to Denver. I get all the way to Denver, and I give them a specimen, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I partied really hard last night. And the lady goes,
The last thing they should hear.
We can tell. But I would get the job and be at Jones way too long. But
Did you ask her what the sign was, how she could
oh,
tell?
she's like, it's like alcohol.
You smell?
It's like you just peed a martini. Yeah. And yeah, I fell asleep on a couch, and then I woke up, and I'm like, I love life. And I was like, oh my God. And I thought Jones was my future,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. They were just.
But how cool, it was like before there was, XM and Sirius, there was Jones Radio
There was
Network.
Jones Radio. And you get these phone calls from people, and they'd be like, yeah, is there a tornado coming? And they are calling from Georgia.
Right?
And I'd be like, I think you should get into a cellar. I mean, you didn't want to be responsible for this person perishing. You had no idea if a tornado was coming. You were in Denver.
I worked for a really nice guy, Doug Clifton. I think you know him.
Yeah, I worked for him at
Great
the Mountain.
guy.
Yeah.
So he was the PD at the station I was on, and it was an alternative rock station. And I remember one day I got a request call for the Foo Fighters, and this guy was in Alaska. And I was like standing there, down in Highlands Ranch, wherever Jones was, and I was like, "You can hear me in Alaska?" I was like, "Wow."
No, it's crazy. I would get calls from people who knew me, but from various parts of the country.
Wow.
And they're like, did you move here? I'm like, no, actually, I'm in Denver. It just sounds like
How
I'm
cool.
local.
It was like
Yeah.
6 degrees of Jared Ewey.
Yeah, no, actually, I got a call from a woman who was like, I'm making love to my husband, and we turn on the radio, and it's you. It's like, well, thank you for including me.
Right? You were in a throuple before you knew it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, so anyway, alien guy helped me out in Portland, and those days of doubt are gone.
What if he materialized out of the universe to help you open your radio career?
And aliens may have said, like,
hey, the U.S. government has started to be like, yep, there's aliens.
this is a thing, yeah.
So, and I've been a long time person that's always thought, yep.
well, I mean, it's silly to think we're
the only
in the
intelligent
universe. I mean,
beings.
but who can travel to here? The woman that the movie Jodie Foster movie.
Yes, in Contact.
The woman that's based on, she's hopeful because she says if there's any alien that can reach us, they are so advanced they're probably not warlike anymore. They're not like us. They have reached to new level of consciousness, and so that's something.
Well, and human beings see 3 dimensions, but there's like 10 dimensions in the universe. So who's
Yeah.
to say that in another dimension they're visible? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
they could be here with us right now.
That's
I
right.
might be one.
I mean,
Yeah.
now would you want to explain the vest? I meant to ask about the
Oh,
vest.
well, God. Well, this is just the riches of who I have become. So, I don't know if you know, but I have this superhero alter ego that adjusts manhole covers so they match the lines that are painted on
Fixing
them.
the universe.
It's called Fixing the Universe, and I have an outfit I wear. It's a uniform.
It's very
And
unique.
I have offers. I mean, I would say 100 messages offering me various things to do it. Oh, somebody anonymously sent me a manhole cover tool.
Didn't you
And
get
then I just got this,
today?
today. Somebody sent me this.
So that you'll be safe, and because sometimes you're out in the middle of the street when you're
Yeah.
trying to fix the manhole covers and there's traffic. But
Deborah and Gia, thank you.
Thank you, Deborah and Gia, for keeping our friends safe.
Yeah, so anyway, my wife was like, please take that off. I'm like, no. This is who I am now.
I think it's very flattering.
I'm going to wear this orange vest anywhere I go, and that means special access.
I think you should wear it Saturday for our birthday party.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I could get into the after party.
Turning 50 in a reflective vest.
People just tip me to move their car. Yeah, so...
You're not the valet that night. You're the birthday boy.
Oh, my God. One time it was funny. I was running through... I was late for my shift at Alice 106 because I got stuck on a train on Santa Fe. And, in Alameda there's that train. And I parked wherever I could, and I'm running... I run through, like, this... It's a hotel area, like in downtown Denver, and this guy chases me down because he thinks I'm a valet. He's chasing me with his keys, and he's like, "Why are you running?" I'm like, "Why are you running?" Oh yeah,
That's funny.
that's what I was like. Man, I've not made it. I mean, they're chasing me down thinking I'm a valet.
That you're
and
the valet.
I think I'm a big shit because I'm doing the Sunday night shift on a pop station.
You are big shit. And
Oh,
you
my God.
are still killing it. Like you did at Comedy Works last night.
I
So
appreciate it.
when you do get that video, please attach it to this episode.
Yeah. Well, this episode, I'm not sure if I'll have it in time for this episode.
Well, but can you append it once it's...
Well, then I'd have to take this episode down and
Can you put it in a comment?
maybe. Oh, hey, that's a good
Yeah,
idea. Thank
yeah.
you for thinking. Thank you for. I'm just
You
trying to get
know.
out of it, and you're like, no, we're gonna power through.
Well,
Okay, that's good.
You put one of my videos of me, kind of choking out there, but yeah.
No, you did great, and
Oh.
it just fit perfectly. And we had it. I don't know where the moth video is, but I'll put it in the
Great.
comments.
Okay. Well, this has been season 2, episode 3, Jared Iwi of the Extracted podcast. And again, my name is Shannon Boyles, here with the birthday boy, Jared Iwi
Birthday
himself, and me, his birthday twin. We're both hitting the big 5-0 on Saturday.
Yeah, my lord,
We'll be
I
older.
don't understand.